Ladies and gentlemen, Amal Clooney.
Good evening, everyone. When the AFI asked me to speak tonight, I said, of course. But George knows I've actually been quite nervous about it. It's somehow easier for me to address a court on behalf of a detainee than to speak publicly, as I'm doing for the first time tonight, about my husband. I do so out of immense pride in all that he has achieved, luckily without having to wear a white horsehair wig, but with some waterproof mascara on just in case. Coming here, I knew there would be lots of people who could speak to George's talent. His talent as a director, as a producer, as a writer of original screenplays, as a writer of adapted screenplays, as a leading actor, as a supporting actor. It's a long list when you've been nominated for awards in more categories than any other human being on the planet. So I thought that I should say a few words about his character in real life and why he deserves to be admired not only for what he's done, but for who he is. So here are a few things you may not know about George. First, he is a gentleman. He is a gentleman in every sense of the word, and in a way that seems so rare these days and perhaps even outdated. Everyone who knows him, even those who oppose him politically or who have quarreled with him professionally, will tell you he has not forgotten his Kentucky manners. On every set I visit, I'm told by crew that George sticks up for the most vulnerable. His security team told me that when shooting Confessions in Montreal, George refused to wear a warm winter jacket unless every extra got the same one, even though it was 40 degrees below zero. Now, it's true that George's notorious pranks that we have heard about tonight are an exception to such gentlemanly comportment, as Matt Damon found out when, despite his rigorous workouts, his trousers kept getting tighter and tighter every time he appeared on George's set. But other than that, George is definitely a gentleman. The second thing is that George is incredibly generous. He is generous with his time. He finds out about people who have suffered the same health issues as him, and he writes to give them advice. He helps young people pursue their passion for film. He'll visit an elderly lady at our local nursing home if he thinks it will make her day. He has a big heart, and he puts it into everything that he does, whether it's making a movie, hosting a fundraiser, or quite often these days, pranking our latest guest using a nappy and a pot of Nutella. But George is generous in traditional ways too, by donating money to causes he believes in and spoiling loved ones. He must surely be the only person in the world to invite his 13 closest friends to dinner one night and give them a suitcase filled with $1 million in cash. Though it must be said, the 14th closest friend is still really upset about that one. Third, George picks good fights. Even before I knew him, I admired George's commitment to taking up causes like exposing corruption in Sudan before they were visible, and to taking moral stances like opposing the war in Iraq when it was far from popular to do so. Recently, he worked with survivors of the Parkland school shooting on their campaign for gun control, and he continues to mentor some of them today. He was even the UN's messenger of peace, but the reality is that he fights for what is right as a way of life. George shows us all what it is to have a moral conscience and how powerful it can be when combined with eloquence and courage. This aspect of George's character was noted many years ago by Walter Cronkite, the famous newsman who wrote George a letter that I found in our home. Here's how it begins. Dear George, in the course of my checkered career, I have encountered a fair number of movie stars. Most of them used their power badly, usually to prop up a frail ego. Some of them had style, not many had character. Very few of them had any real class. you have character, and you have class. You also have a thoroughly admirable lunatic courage, diving off the high board without knowing if there is any water in the pool. Walter was right, and his words are all the more poignant at a time when many of us feel that character is lacking in some of the leaders we count on the most. Although George modestly attributes much of the success we are celebrating here tonight to luck, I think it's incredible talent and character that got him here. And these attributes also make him an amazing husband and father. I met George when I was 35 and starting to become quite resigned to the idea that I was going to be a spinster. Then we met, started hiding out in my London flat, and very soon it felt like no matter what happened, I would never want to be with anyone else. I couldn't sleep when we were apart, and I am told that I would display a particular grin and head tilt when reading his text messages or the letters that he would hide in my bag. 5 years later, none of that has changed. He is the person who has my complete admiration, and also the person whose smile makes me melt every time. My love, what I have found with you is the great love that I always hoped existed. And seeing you with our children, Ella and Alexander, is the greatest joy in my life. You fill our home with laughter and happiness, and that's even before the children have worked out that Dada is actually Batman, a talking fox, and friends with Mary Poppins. I am so proud of you, my love. Congratulations on this great honor that you're receiving tonight. I am proud of you, but I also know that when our children find out not only what you have done, but who you are, they will be so proud of you too.